So I bought a Ninja Creami, and one thing I've heard they excel at is making high-protein ice cream. Now, clearly, I love ice cream, and if it had a better macronutrient profile, I'd be able to justify eating a lot more of it. But in my pursuit of the perfect ice cream, some questions come to mind. How much protein is too much? And what actually changes as I raise the protein content in my recipes? So today, I'm making 3 identical batches of ice cream, just with different amounts of protein. Don't forget to like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. On with the recipe. For each batch, I'm using 1 cup of 35% fat cream, a varying amount of whey isolate, about a tablespoon of cocoa powder, half a teaspoon of guar gum, a pinch of salt, and filling the remaining space with milk. The protein powder I'm using is chocolate smooth flavored whey isolate from MyProtein. Whey isolate is basically the same thing as whey protein powder, it's just been refined further so there's more protein by weight. The nutritional information says there are 20 grams of protein per 25 grams of the whey isolate that I'm adding. While their unflavored does have 22 grams of protein per 25, I don't actually have any, and eating 3 batches of chocolate ice cream for science sounds like my kind of day. The first batch will have 25 grams of whey isolate, giving it 20 grams of added protein. I'm considering this the control because, let's be honest, there's no way 25 grams will be too much. The second batch will have 50 grams of added whey isolate, giving it 40 additional grams of protein. I'm really hopeful for the second batch. Other than adding cream, salt, and guar gum, this is basically how I would drink it in milkshake form. The third batch will have 75 grams of whey isolate, giving it 60 added grams of protein. I think this is going to be too much, but nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? Another mystery of the Ninja Creami. If anyone knows how to freeze a recipe without a hump forming in the middle, please let me know in the comments. For now, I've found that scraping the top layer flat with a spoon or an ice cream scoop, and then flattening it the best you can, seems to work. I didn't notice much difference here between the 3 batches. The 75 gram batch might have been a little harder to scrape, but not by much. I'm also running the outside of each container under hot tap water for about 20 seconds. This helps the sides release and mix in, and I think the 75 gram batch is going to need all the help it can get. I'm spinning each batch on the same setting, and I've chosen to use frozen yogurt. This setting takes a little longer than the ice cream setting, so hopefully it'll mix each batch enough that they don't need to be respun. The 25 and 50 gram batches had no problems as expected, but I was a little worried going into the 75. While I didn't see, hear, or smell anything really alarming, I probably wouldn't recommend using this much whey isolate for the longevity of your Ninja Creami. If you are set on using this much in one batch, maybe let the container sit out on the counter for 5 or 10 minutes before you spin it, then freeze it for about an hour after it's finished spinning if you need it to be more firm. So how did they turn out? Let's start with the control. The texture is nice and rich, with a good mouthfeel. It didn't melt too fast, it wasn't icy, and it scoops perfectly. I'd give it an 8 on texture, but about a 4 on flavor. It's not a bad flavor, it's just a very weak flavor. If I made this recipe again, I would probably triple the cocoa powder and use 3 tablespoons. The 50 gram batch came out very similar to the 25, with a little bit more of a lasting mouthfeel. It just kind of lingers a little bit longer after you've eaten it. I'd also give the texture an 8 here, but for slightly different reasons, and the flavor is up to a 5. It's a little bit more chocolate than the previous batch, but it still definitely needs more cocoa. Finally, the 75 gram batch. I was sure this was going to be a failure, but honestly, this is great. The texture's changed a lot this time. It's closer to a soft serve ice cream, and you can see it sticking to the scoop when I tried to get some into a bowl. The flavor was finally chocolatey enough for my discerning palate, and it really felt like I should be eating it out of a waffle cone instead. I'm going to have to give the texture an 8, but if I had ice cream cones, it would have been a 9 without question. The flavor is an 8 as well. Chocolatey, but room for a little more. I was really surprised by the 75 gram batch, and I thought it was really good as a soft serve, but I still think it was kind of excessive. 30 minutes in the freezer might have firmed it up a little and made it more like a hard ice cream, but in trying to be fair, I treated each batch identically, and honestly, I ate all of this before it ever saw the freezer again. The 50-gram batch seemed like the perfect balance of scoopability and protein content. I'll consider trying to play around with this recipe to maybe lower the fat or change a few other things in the future, but that'll be for another video. And the 25-gram batch was just okay, but that was my fault. If I had added a lot more cocoa powder, this would have been a really solid 8 out of 10 chocolate ice cream with a small hit of protein as an added bonus. Overall, I was really surprised that adding more protein seemed to make the ice cream softer and a little more difficult to get a tidy scoop into a bowl. I had expected the exact opposite, so this information will be crucial moving forwards in my pursuit of the perfect ice cream recipe. If you've enjoyed this installment of So I Bought a Ninja Creami, don't forget to like and subscribe and help the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.